Welcome back to J.Reddit, where today we dive into a long lineup of stories that prove one simple truth. When people follow the rules to the letter, those rules often come back to bite the ones who made them. Get comfortable, because this is going to be a long ride filled with satisfying, detailed tales of perfect compliance. Where OP's mum goes head-to-head with a local Karen. Today's story is from KCD. My mum was one of those people who never did anything halfway. Her motto was always, why say bleed when you can say hemorrhage? If she was helping with homework, you were guaranteed to be up until 3 a.m. crafting something epic while everyone else turned in a half-done paper and still got an A. She didn't get mad often, but if you sparked her righteous anger, you were in for it. One time, I found a fantasy-style dagger in my brother's room. He was only 11 years old. My mom quickly searched his room and found more knives. She put them all on the table and waited for my brother to come home. When he saw her sitting with all those weapons, his face turned pale. He admitted that he had bought them from the local card shop. The shopkeepers knew he was just a kid, but they still sold him knives without asking for ID. My mum was furious. She grabbed my brother, picked up the knives, and went to the shop. She placed the weapons on the counter and said, "You sold these to my son." The shop owner laughed and said, "So what? It's just a joke. I can sell whatever I want." Mum gave her one last chance. "So you're saying you will still sell dangerous knives to my underage son even though you know it's illegal?" The owner smirked and said, "Yes, it's business. Maybe raise him better." That was it. My mum didn't say another word. She took the knives, walked out, and in the car she said calmly, "I guess we're going to the news." That night, she started her mission. She researched laws, printed papers, made phone calls, and sent emails to reporters. Most of them said no, but she never gave up. Finally, after weeks, she found a reporter who agreed to help. They gave my brother a hidden camera and some money. He went into the same shop again and bought a full sword. No ID was asked. The hidden camera caught everything. The reporter confronted the owner on camera. The owner again laughed and said it was funny to sell weapons to kids. My mum stood strong and calmly explained why it was wrong. The video was broadcast on TV. Within weeks, the shop closed down. The reporter won an award, and my mum kept the recording on VHS tape, showing it proudly for years. This was her big moment, and it showed everyone that if she believed in something, she would fight it all the way. She would tell the whole story, and we'd all watch the tape again and again, until it was lost to time and turned into legend. But believe it or not, OP actually managed to track down the original news report. Here's a short clip, and just like OP said, the store owner goes full Karen mode. "It's a kid's store, it's just for fun," says owner Alexis Kelly, adding that parents are the ones responsible, not her. "I think they should maybe look in, drop them off, or pick them up on time." When asked about the sign on her door saying no grown-ups allowed, she replies, "It's a joke. It's humor, get it?" But Melissa Barr, whose 11-year-old son bought 3 knives at Never Neverland, isn't laughing. "You were one of the ones who sold him a knife. So what? It's legal in Texas." "Yes, ma'am. Just like they could go to Montgomery Ward's and buy a butcher knife." Even some of the kids who hang out at the store agree the weapons shouldn't be sold. "Do you think it's right to sell that?" "No. Not with all the games around. Not for kids." Before the news crew left, the owner finally agreed to remove the weapons. There are no longer any knives for sale in the store. What do you think of this story? Tell me honestly, because maybe you understand why I'm saying this today. Words like these aren't something you hear every day, and I'm not forcing anyone, it's just a small piece of my story. Why? Subscribe to J.Reddit. In my old house, I care for my pets. 3 alligators, a donkey, 7 koalas, and Steve-O. This channel is my small effort to keep them fed and safe. With your support, no one goes hungry here, and one day, I hope to also help people fighting cancer. Look at that. Our next Reddit post is from Little Diddy. This happened on the 4th of July weekend. I'm a member of a self-contained camp community and I have a place there. It's a nice quiet place with a lake and pools and a restaurant. Things like that. I love it because my kid can be a kid like I was and go wander with friends and disappear until dinner time, and I don't have to worry. Our place is on a small cul-de-sac that's grassed in, and we use it for the kids to play, and we set up cornhole and all that. Because it's 4th of July, a bunch of people have guests, so the park is more full than normal, and a guest of someone on the circle parked at the edge of the grass. While my kid and another kid were playing catch, and one of the kids missed the ball and it hit the parked car. The owner of the car comes out hot and going at the kids. Me and the other kid's parent both go over to calm the situation. Obviously, if there's damage, we'll take care of it because it's from our kids. But this guy starts going off about all these dents and this big scratch and a crack in the windshield and that all this is the kid's fault. I was willing to be reasonable, but when you start saying you want a ton of extra work done trying to blame my kid, I get a little less reasonable. So, we're going back and forth and then he says the magic word that if we aren't willing to pay for everything, he's going to call the park safety office to come deal with it. Knowing where this was going, I smiled and said, yeah, okay, let's do that. So, the officer comes out and to no one's surprise, but this guy, the area his car is parked, is a no parking area. So, not only does the officer tell him to deal with it, because if he had followed the rules and parked in an actual parking zone, this wouldn't have happened, and because the car owner told the park ranger that he'd been there for 2 days with no issue before, he also got a nice fat ticket and an order to move his car. He turned bright red, but didn't say another word and moved his car, and we didn't see or hear from him for the rest of the weekend. Our next Reddit post is from my Reddit saga. This happened a long time ago, about 13 to 15 years ago. I had just started a job at a government agency where I was responsible for a big fleet of cars. My duties included driving the vehicles to various places like repair shops, tire companies, glass repair shops, and inspection centers. I also performed simple repairs myself, like replacing some light bulbs. In addition to all that, I hand washed and cleaned every car both inside and out, refilled the windshield washer fluid, and made sure all the required items were in each car. Washing a car inside and out, checking the fluids, and making sure all the necessary equipment was present took a minimum of 45 minutes and a maximum of about 1 hour. About a month into the job, my boss decided I was taking too much advantage of my flexible working hours and told me that I had to stop working precisely at 400 p.m. So, I decided to follow my boss's rule to the letter. As the days went on, if it was after 3:15 p.m., I didn't think I had enough time to start washing and fixing another car. So, instead, I did other small tasks like sweeping the floor or restocking the supply room. After a few weeks of this, my boss noticed that fewer cars had been cleaned and fixed in total. So, he called me into a meeting to ask why. That's when I brought up his policy that I had to leave at exactly 400 p.m. and that I shouldn't be taking advantage of my flexible hours. My boss suddenly realized why I'd been taking advantage of the flexible hours before. I was simply working smart. Some days I would go home a little earlier after a car was finished, and on other days I needed an extra 5 to 20 minutes to complete a car. It wasn't a daily issue, but it happened often enough that the boss's new policy created a problem. So, after the boss thought for a moment, he said that we should go back to the way that I was working before. He apologized for his poor policy and admitted that he was wrong. I ended up staying at that job for about 2 more years, and we got along well for that entire time. What the boss actually realized he was wrong and apologized and corrected his course instead of doubling down and taking it out on you. This is like a true unicorn manager. Our next Reddit post is from 0313. Several years ago, a friend Mark started a home-based computer software business. He and his wife lived in their home for about 10 years and had a well-established home phone number. This was around the time that cell phones were just beginning to be popular, so 95% of people still used mainly landlines. Mark worked 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. the same shift as his wife, so his customers could be free to discuss their computer needs uninterrupted after their own business closed for the day. Most computer maintenance still had to be done in person instead of remotely, so customers could drop off devices after work and pick them up from Mark's back porch on their way to work the next day. All went swimmingly for a few months until a new doctor opened up a practice in town, complete with a telephone number differing from Mark's by 1 digit. Mark's number had a 3, where the medical office had an 8 in the last 4 number combination. Misdialing was frequent at first. There were occasional calls to which Mark would patiently redirect the caller. As time wore on, and the doctor's office got more and more referrals from local hospitals to give Mr. New in town an established client base, the calls began to come at all hours, 24 hours a day, weekends, nights, holidays, you name it. The office still got calls after hours to an answering service for patients to find out who was on call, and for the hospital staff to reach doctors after hours. Mark had to unplug the telephone just to have a conversation over lunch with his wife and in order to sleep. It's also not ideal when you have 3 daughters of dating age out after dark. Mark called the doctor's office and asked them to please change their number so he and his family could get some peace and quiet, and so he could build his own business to support them. Since Mark had his phone longer, he felt the doctor should be gracious and change his number to a different one to stop the confusion. He was told in about so many words by the doctor that it was too bad, but nothing was going to be done because advertising, stationery, business cards, and signage were expensive to redo. Not to mention, he had to convey that new information to all of his patients, medical registries, the medical board, and societies, and hospitals. Just do the best you can. I'm sure the calls will stop soon. Good luck to you. Mark cheerfully replied, "Okie dokie. I'll do my best to take care of things." After that, Mark began to feel all the calls that came in personally. "You've had the sniffles all morning after working in the yard around pollen. You better come right in. You start coughing every time you smoke a cigarette. Come on in, HM. I'm not a doctor, but a temperature of 98.9 sounds a little high to me. We'll see you right after lunch today. You're new in town and have kids who need physicals and shots for school next week. It just so happens we have an opening in an hour. No, don't worry. We can take all 5 of your kids at once today." Whatever the problem was, Mark started making appointments for each and every person calling. All were delighted to have such personal attention and prompt appointments. "Sure, we take all insurance plans. Come right in." He also made all the routine checkup type appointments for 4:30 p.m. on Friday afternoon for 6 different people. Bright and early the next Monday morning, Dr. New in town called and begged him to stop. Mark said, "I will if you will." The doctor had a new phone number before the end of the week. That was our Malicious Compliance. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day here on J.Reddit.